Hi, Mike Kennedy with you, and we are going to take a $1 can of spaghetti sauce. Doesn't matter which brand you use. This is the Hunt's 4 cheese, and we're going to ramp it up, and we're going to turn it into a pepperoni meat sauce. And the trick on this is going to be one trick is going to be adding the extra spice with the pepperonis, the oregano, but also we're going to be cooking this a long time. In my opinion, it seems to be true with my family too, all spaghetti type products are not cooked long enough. They're undercooked. And there's this taste in there, this raw tomato taste, that needs to be eliminated for it to turn into a really good sauce taste. So that means you simmer it for a couple, at least an hour, but maybe a couple hours. So let's work with this first. We've got a pound of the hamburger, and we're going to take some of this pepperoni.
Don't give away our secrets.
My wife just said, don't give away our secrets. This is my secret. This isn't our traditional way. My wife makes spaghetti sauce from scratch, and it's way better than this. But, I'm doing a lot of the cooking now, so this is the way we're doing it. We still, on special occasions, make it from scratch, which I'll have to film that sometime. So, let's see. We got a stack of pepperoni, let's say that's 3/4 of an inch. Exact quantities are not important. We're going to kind of dice this up because we want it to not be apparent necessarily that it's in the sauce, which would happen if it was big pieces still. So now we're going to heat a pan. If you don't have a pan with a cover like I do, I would do the meat cooking part and adding the spice, and then I would put that into a pot that you can cover. And because we're doing this over a period of time, you want to check it every once in a while. It's going to be on simmer, but stirring it once in a while is going to help quite a bit. So we're going to put a pepperoni in. And once we get this cooking a little bit, we're going to be adding the hamburger. You want to cook the hamburger thoroughly, because since we're going to have it on simmer, we can't count on the fact that it's going to be cooked on simmer for a while. And it's just ground meat, you just want to make sure it's cooked all the way through. I know a lot of people like rare things, but hamburger isn't something to fool around with being rare. And in my opinion, other people's opinions, they'd say, oh, what are you talking about? But to me, ground meat is different than a steak or something like that, because all of the meat has been exposed in the grinding process. So if you have any bacteria or anything, it can be throughout the ground beef. Whereas if you have a problem with a piece of meat, you're generally going to be cooking the surfaces that could have potential problems. So all I'm saying is much safer to have rare, medium rare, or whatever steaks than it is to have any rare hamburger. Now, of course, the pepperoni is cooked already. So the chief thing that we're doing by recooking it, getting it to release the oils, is the idea that it's going to disperse the flavor throughout the sauce rather than just in these small little pieces of pepperoni. So I'm looking at this pepperoni and I'm looking at it and saying, why aren't the juices coming out? Well, look at this, I goofed. Turkey pepperoni, 70% less fat. I suggest we get regular pepperoni with all the fat. But too late to not go back. I tasted some and it tastes like regular pepperoni. So now we're going to put in the meat. Notice how this is flat. When you buy hamburger, we buy it in a bigger, thing where it's a little bit cheaper, and then you put it in smaller packages, and you make the packages flat. That way, the hamburger will thaw quicker, rather than it being in a bowl, a ball, or say maybe a cubic shape. Flat, rectangular shape is much better. Turn the heat down a little bit. Okay, so now we're basically just going to cook this. At this point, we're going to add in our oregano too. I'm going to mix that in with everything. And I've turned the heat back a little as well. We just got to make sure that all of this hamburger gets thoroughly cooked. Hear them? You'll hear in the background the parrots. Why I usually don't film things in the house. If I start using this, they start yakking. One of them's talking and one's squawking. Pretty bird? What's a chicken say? Cluck cluck? Bark? He loves it. Bark? The second sound is mine. I'm repeating what he says. He loves it. Bark? I see you. He plays peekaboo. What? What'd you say? You can see we still have some pink hamburger in here. We've got to make sure that none of it is pink. What happened here is the hamburger wasn't completely thawed in the center. So we've got to make sure we get all of that cooked really well, because we're going to be switching this over to simmer. You could also put onions in this too. We could have, at the stage before we add the hamburger, chop them small, and basically again they'll kind of disintegrate, but they'll add flavor. So we're getting there. Hi, Pee-wee. He's talking to the other bird. One bird's talking to the other bird. Or repeating what he's heard us say. Okay, so now we're going to put the whole can of spaghetti sauce in. Yep. All right. And we're just going to mix it in. Now we're going to let the sauce in here until it starts bubbling again, which will mean it gets really hot. And then we're going to turn the stove down to simmer. And like I was saying, I have a cover that will fit on this. You can transfer it to a smaller pot that has a cover if you want. Just make sure that you check it once in a while, because you don't want to go through all this effort. Find out that maybe you left the stove too high, it's evaporated the liquid out of it, and it burned. So you do want to keep checking it once in a while. And but this is looking good. It smells good, I'll tell you that. You can see on the edges it's starting to bubble. What you talking about? That's the green-winged conure that's chattering in the background. Ha ha ha! He just laughed. Pluck, pluck, pluck. Sounded like a chicken. Pluck! And the other one just squawks. If anyone ever offers you a Nande conure, they're these small, cute birds, you want to seriously consider that they are one of the noisiest things you can bring into your house. Okay? Just telling you. Peekaboo. I see you. See, I think when I'm doing a video in the house, they want to compete for attention. They know I'm talking to something else, and they're like, how come you're not talking to us? And they make themselves known. So there we go. You can see it's bubbling. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cover it, and we're going to put it on the lowest setting, simmer, low, on this countertop stove. And this is 2 o'clock. It's actually going to be on here for a couple of hours. We're probably not going to eat till 5 or 5:30, maybe 6. And we're going to pair this with raviolis. I'll show you the raviolis we like to buy. So here we are with our final product. We're going to give it a try. It tastes great. Now, here's what we buy. This Mama Rosa round cheese ravioli. This is 60 ounces, okay? This says it's 13 servings, but if you're having this just as the whole meal, which normally we do, we cook half of it and feed 3 people. So this is going to be 6 servings for us, 2 meals, and that's how we like it. I'm sure the serving side would be reduced a lot if you're using this in conjunction with, you know, maybe having salad or some other things with it. But we go full bore and just do this with the sauce. It comes out excellently.